Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating topic that's often misunderstood and even stigmatized. We're going to talk about sociopaths. Now, before you get all riled up, this isn't about labeling anyone. This is about understanding a specific personality type and seeing if maybe, just maybe some of these traits resonate with you. Look, we all have our quirks, right? Some of us are a little more impulsive, some of us are more detached. But when do those quirks become something more? When do they cross the line into a personality pattern that might need a closer look? That's what we're here to explore today. We're going to walk you through 10 questions designed to make you think, to make you reflect on your own behaviors and thought patterns. And remember, this isn't about diagnosing anyone, it's about self-awareness, about understanding the complexities of human nature. So buckle up, get ready to be challenged, and let's dive in. Alright, let's get right to it. Question number 1. Do you often find yourself manipulating others to get what you want? Now before you jump to no way, really think about it. Manipulation isn't always some malicious scheme, it can be subtle, even unconscious. Think about how you interact with people. Do you find yourself playing on their emotions, guilt-tripping them or buttering them up to get your way? Maybe you're the king or queen of the sob story, always pulling at heartstrings to get what you want. Or maybe you use flattery like a weapon, disarming people with praise before you hit them with a request they can't refuse. We all do these things to some extent, but if you find yourself constantly relying on these tactics, it might be a sign that manipulation is your go-to move. And that, my friend, is something worth paying attention to. So be honest with yourself. Dig deep. The truth, as they say, will set you free. But first, it might make you a little uncomfortable. Let's move on to question number 2, and this one cuts right to the core of human connection. Do you feel a lack of empathy towards others? Now, empathy, that's a big one. It's the ability to step into someone else's shoes, to truly feel what they're feeling. Think about it. When someone shares their sadness, their joy, their anger, what's your gut reaction? Do you find yourself genuinely connecting with their emotions, mirroring their feelings? Or do you keep your distance, observing their emotional display with a sense of detachment like you're watching a movie? Now, some people are naturally more empathetic than others. We're not all wired the same. But if you find yourself consistently struggling to connect with the emotional experiences of others, if their joys and sorrows seem foreign to you, that lack of empathy might be a sign of something deeper. It's not about being cold-hearted necessarily. It's about understanding how your emotional responses, or lack thereof, impact your interactions with the world around you. Alright, let's talk honesty. Question number 3. Do you often lie or deceive people? Now this one's a bit of a landmine, isn't it? We all tell those little white lies now and then, sparing someone's feelings or avoiding an uncomfortable situation. But we're not talking about those harmless fibs. We're talking about a pattern of deceit, a conscious choice to mislead and manipulate for personal gain. Think about your interactions. Do you find yourself twisting the truth, omitting crucial details, or flat-out fabricating stories to get what you want? Maybe you're a master of disguise, effortlessly morphing into whoever you need to be to charm and manipulate those around you. Or maybe you're a straight-up con artist, weaving elaborate webs of deception without a shred of remorse. Honesty is the foundation of trust, and without trust, relationships crumble. So, if you find yourself constantly resorting to lies and deception, it's time to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask yourself why. Question 4. Living on the edge? Let's delve into the past a bit with question number 4. Do you have a history of breaking the law or engaging in risky behavior? Now we've all made mistakes, pushed the boundaries a little. Maybe you rolled through a stop sign, maybe you stretched the truth on your taxes, but we're not talking about minor infractions here. We're talking about a pattern of disregard for rules, a blatant disregard for the safety and well-being of yourself and others. Think back. Have you engaged in reckless driving, substance abuse, or criminal activity? Do you find yourself constantly drawn to the thrill of the unknown, the adrenaline rush of living on the edge, even if it means putting yourself or others at risk? Now, a little bit of risk-taking can be healthy, but when it becomes a compulsive pattern, it can be a sign of deeper issues. It's about understanding the consequences of your actions, or rather, the lack of consideration for those consequences. Question 5. Walls up? Let's get personal with question number 5. Do you find it difficult to form genuine emotional connections? Now, this one hits home for a lot of people. We all crave connection, that sense of belonging and intimacy with another human being. But for some, forming those deep, meaningful bonds feels like an impossible feat. Think about your relationships. Do you find it easy to open up to others, to let them see your vulnerabilities and share your deepest fears and desires? Or do you keep them at arm's length, building walls to protect yourself from the potential pain of rejection or abandonment? Maybe you've had a string of short-lived relationships, jumping from one superficial connection to the next, never truly letting anyone in. Or maybe you isolate yourself, convinced that true connection is nothing more than a fairy tale. Question 6. Chasing the high. Let's talk about excitement, shall we? Question number 6. Do you often feel bored and seek out excitement? Now, everyone gets bored from time to time. It's a natural human experience. But for some, boredom is a constant companion, a nagging feeling of emptiness that they desperately try to fill with external stimulation. Think about your life. Do you find yourself constantly seeking out new experiences, new thrills, anything to break free from the monotony of everyday life? Maybe you're an adrenaline junkie, always pushing the limits with extreme sports or reckless behavior. Or maybe you find your thrills in more destructive ways, engaging in risky sexual encounters, substance abuse, or gambling. The need for excitement isn't inherently bad, but when it becomes an all-consuming pursuit, when you're willing to sacrifice your well-being and the well-being of others just to feel alive, it's a sign that something's amiss. Time for a little self-reflection, with question number 7. Do you have a grandiose sense of self-worth? Now, confidence is a wonderful thing. Believing in yourself, knowing your worth, that's essential for a happy and fulfilling life. But there's a fine line between healthy self-esteem and an inflated ego. Think about how you view yourself in relation to others. Do you see yourself as superior, more deserving, more entitled than those around you? Do you expect special treatment, constant admiration, and unwavering loyalty, even when you haven't earned it? Maybe you surround yourself with yes-men, people who constantly stroke your ego and tell you what you want to hear, even if it's not the truth. Or maybe you have a hard time accepting criticism, deflecting any negative feedback, and blaming others for your shortcomings. Question 8. The guilt trip? Let's talk about accountability, or the lack thereof, with question number 8. Do you lack remorse or guilt for your actions? Now, we all make mistakes. We say things we regret, we hurt the people we love, we act in ways that contradict our values. But it's the feeling of remorse, the pang of guilt that follows those mistakes that allows us to learn, to grow, to become better versions of ourselves. Think about a time when you messed up, when you hurt someone, either intentionally or unintentionally. How did that make you feel? Did you experience genuine remorse, a deep sense of regret for the pain you caused? Or did you brush it off, rationalize your behavior, and shift the blame onto someone else? Maybe you have a long list of apologies that were never truly sincere, empty words uttered to smooth over a situation without any real intention of changing your behavior. Question 9. Responsibility? What responsibility? Let's talk about responsibility, or the lack thereof, with question number 9. Do you have a history of being irresponsible or failing to honor financial obligations? Look, life throws curveballs. We've all faced financial struggles, unexpected expenses, and maybe even a missed payment or two. But we're not talking about occasional slip-ups here. We're talking about a pattern of disregard for financial commitments, a blatant disregard for the consequences of your actions on others. Think about your financial history. Do you have a trail of unpaid debts, bounced checks, and broken promises? Do you borrow money from friends and family with no intention of paying it back? Maybe you're a master of making excuses, always having a sob story ready to explain away your financial irresponsibility. Or maybe you simply don't care, prioritizing your own wants and desires above the well-being of others. Question 10. Playing the blame game? Alright folks, we've reached the final question. Do you often blame others for your problems? Now, life isn't always fair. Bad things happen. Circumstances beyond our control can derail our plans. And sometimes people just plain wrong us. But it's how we respond to those challenges, how we process those setbacks, that reveals our true character. Think about how you handle adversity. When things go wrong, do you take ownership of your role in the situation, learn from your mistakes, and move forward with a renewed sense of purpose? Or do you immediately point the finger at someone else, deflecting blame and refusing to acknowledge your own shortcomings? Maybe you have a go-to scapegoat, Someone you can always rely on to shoulder the blame for your mistakes. Or maybe you're a master manipulator, twisting situations to paint yourself as the victim, even when you're the one holding the smoking gun. The final verdict? Well, there you have it, folks. 10 tough questions designed to make you think, to challenge your perceptions, and maybe even make you a little uncomfortable. Now remember, this isn't about slapping labels on anyone. This isn't about diagnosing you with a personality disorder. This is about self-awareness, about understanding the complexities of human nature and maybe, just maybe, recognizing some patterns in your own life that could use a little attention. If some of these questions resonated with you, if you found yourself squirming in your seat a time or two, don't panic. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, it just means you've got some work to do.